Hey, David Dole here. So, the UK just had an election, and it's an election that Theresa May called. She already had a majority, her and the Conservative Party, but she felt that she was going to strengthen her majority and gain more seats. But what actually happened is she lost so many seats that she lost her majority, and now looks to be trying to form a minority government with the DUP party, which is considered to be an extremely far-right party. But the real story here is how well Jeremy Corbyn did. So the entire punditry class, the elites, the establishment, they all thought Jeremy Corbyn was essentially going to destroy the Labour Party. But that's not what happened at all. And first I want to go back and take a look at some of these predictions that people had for Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party. So Tom Peck of The Independent had an article saying how Jeremy Corbyn destroyed the Labour Party in 365 days. And in the article, he claims Corbyn will lead Labour to an electoral oblivion. Of that, there is no doubt. J.K. Rowling, author of the Harry Potter series, claimed on Twitter, "I have nothing to fear from Corbyn except the destruction of the Labour Party." Nick Cohen, writer for The Observer, Time, and Spectator, claimed, "Corbyn's Labour won't just lose, it'll be slaughtered." Piers Morgan, who nobody likes, claimed on Twitter even after the exit polls came out, saying, "As exit polls loom, I repeat my prediction. Conservatives to win by 90 to 100 seat majority." And even liberals like Sadiq Khan, who's the mayor of London and member of the Labour Party, voted for Corbyn's opponent in the leadership race, claiming, "We cannot win with Corbyn, so I will vote for Owen Smith." And Media Matters' Eric Bullard, who was a staunch Hillary Clinton defender, always claiming that Bernie Sanders had no chance, tweeted this in January, saying, "Corbyn's been a disaster for Labour," and quotes the Guardian article saying, "Labour may get as little as 20% of the vote at the next general election." Now, to their credit, some people that claim that Jeremy Corbyn would destroy the Labour Party came out and admitted they were wrong, like Channel 4's Kathy Newman, who said, "Okay, let's be honest. Until the last few weeks, many of us underestimated Jeremy Corbyn." But then there are others who can never admit they're wrong, like Eric Bullard, the guy that I just showed you a tweet from, who now claims that a Trump tweet is what swung the election. Okay, so how was Jeremy Corbyn able to fool everybody and make the gains that he did? Well, first of all, let's take a look at what I think is one of the most important data pieces. The fact that 72% of the youth turned out to vote, which is the highest number since 1964. And really, the most important thing to realize here is that this is not an election about left versus right. What it's really about is the establishment versus populism. And that's a large part of the reason why these pundits got it wrong, because they're a part of that establishment. It really comes down to groupthink. They all think alike. They all talk to each other. They all get information from each other, instead of actually looking at the electorate and understanding why the electorate may be frustrated with how the government currently is and what people want to see in terms of policy. Citizens are at this point now where they're yearning for actual progressive policy that can help their lives out. Whether it's free college, whether it's raising the minimum wage, whether it's healthcare, whether it's being non-interventionist in terms of war, all of these different areas that the liberal parties of the world have largely ignored over the past 10 or 20 years. So when you have someone like Jeremy Corbyn, who not only has that sort of progressive message that people are aching for, but also is able to present it in a way where he does it with strength. And that's because he's confident in his platform. He's confident in these policies that he's pushing forward. So when you have a confident, strong, progressive liberal running in an election, and the other major option is essentially the status quo, then the person with the hopeful, positive message is the one that's going to get the votes. And it's really incredible and in many ways enjoyable for me to see all these people who think they know what they're talking about and get proven wrong. So last night I watched BBC News for, well, let me put it this way. When I started watching BBC, it was still light outside in London. And then by the time I finished watching it, it had gone dark and went light again. So I watched I think it went from, first of all, I'm super impressed at how long BBC was on covering this, because it was the same anchors from when I started watching around 7 p.m. Eastern all the way till 1 a.m., meaning that they were up until about 6 in the morning. But anyways, apart from that, it was fun seeing them have these, not just pundits, but members of the Labour Party who had assumed that Jeremy Corbyn was this leader that was going to destroy the party, and many of them thought that they would now be launching a leadership bid during this election, without realizing how well Corbyn was actually going to perform. And it's really easy to pick out the people who actually know what's going on in the country versus the people that only listen to the elites, because the ones that only listen to the establishment, to the elites, to the punditry class, are the ones that got this election completely wrong. But if you actually talk to people, you actually understand the economic anxiety that's going on within the country, then you had a better view of how this election may have turned out. And that's really the biggest lesson out of this election. If you were completely wrong about this election, think about how you actually, why you perceived the election going one way versus another. Is it because of what you were reading, what you were watching on TV, who you were talking to? Because whatever it is, question that. Really think about it. Because if you were so wrong about this election, then it's possible you're very wrong about other things. And it's really time to wake up to the fact that a hopeful, progressive, and well-defined message really helps to bring out voters. Because look, I'm a progressive. I'm not going to pretend I'm not. I'm not going to hide it. But I'm someone who tries to question why I view something the way I view it. So even people that I don't normally agree with, I'll try to see it from their point of view. Why do they think the way they think? Because it's possible that I'm wrong and that I'm missing something. So when I do that, it allows me to open my mind and really understand different perspectives and where they fit in terms of society. And doing that has also allowed me to really understand when I see a rational perspective, a perspective that makes sense, that can predict what may actually happen in an election. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I saw this coming and no one else saw it coming. The reason why I kind of saw this coming is because I read people and I watch people who also kind of saw this coming. I don't just read one or two sources or just the Washington Post or the New York Times or the Independent or the Guardian. I take my information in from a variety of sources, including small independent sources. So when you have that sort of perspective and you actually read and watch other different views, then you start to get a better picture of what might actually happen. And one of the things that I see, not just in the UK, but really everywhere, is wealth inequality. And when you have that sort of wealth inequality, the way it comes out is through elections. So when you have an election where one person is pushing austerity measures and the other one is talking about investing into its people, then yeah, the message that has a positive, hopeful, uplifting message that's going to invest into people is the one that attracts voters. And that was true with the rise of Bernie Sanders, and that was true with the rise of Jeremy Corbyn. People don't fight back against a system unless they're unhappy. And you won't notice that people are unhappy unless you read a variety of sources and hear different opinions. So I really think this is just the beginning for the Labour Party and for Jeremy Corbyn. I believe there will be another election. Well, there's going to have to be one soon because it's a minority government. And I believe Jeremy Corbyn at that point will win and he will become Prime Minister. It's really only a matter of time. But let me know in the comments what you thought about this election, if you saw the rise of Jeremy Corbyn coming, or if this was a total shock to you. Let me know.